We live in a dream world in which all our necessities are at our fingertips. The gig economy provides us with a way to commute from one destination to another, eat the food we like every single time, buy groceries, clothes, electronics, and many more. They can help you clean your house, give you a haircut, or a massage anytime you wish. So the gig economy is your maid, driver, and courier service all rolled into one. Welcome to the world of platform-driven gig economy. Hey, I need a cab to the airport on Friday. Can you get one in the next 5 minutes? We have our guests at home and I just got home from office. Can you order dinner for tonight? Have old people at home and the AC in their room suddenly stopped working. Can you get someone to come home and fix it by tonight? We have almost forgotten about the time when daily commute to work, at least for a few of us, was a hit or miss. Some of us had to walk to taxi stands, negotiate prices, only for some cab drivers to turn us down. When was the last time you had to make a trip to get your favorite food from across town? These tasks are now just a few taps away. But then, did you ever imagine that this would be the case about 5 years ago? Yes. In some ways, we are in fact living a seemingly impossible dream today. How did this happen?
In recent years, we have seen increased access to internet. There has been increased digitalization, a lot of use of UPI, Unified Payment Interface, by huge sections of people in urban areas and also in rural areas. So all this has led to a rise in platforms in India. In fact, according to the ILO report, 8% of world's platforms are concentrated in India. So India is a leading country for platforms. So the rising urbanization, the demographic dividend which we have, and enabled by rise in access to internet has really enabled employment opportunities in this sector.
Let us rewind a little bit. If you think about it, gigs have existed for centuries. Many industries, ranging from software to agriculture to construction, all employ temporary workers or gig workers. In fact, much industrialization, most people worked multiple jobs to earn a living, and this phenomenon continues even today.
I think the use of the word gig economy is typically attributed to jazz musicians, right? So whenever there was a jazz performance or so, when the concert performers were short of an instrumentalist, they used to go out and get in a gig worker. Right? And this gig worker essentially was a freelancer who used to come in just for that particular performance. So the word gig was essentially attributed to the temporary nature of work, most of the time just limited to a single performance itself. But then that's not essentially true of the existence of something like the gig economy. You don't need to look any further. If you think about it, maybe one example of the gig economy was the dabbawalas, right? So even though a lot of the workforce of the dabbawala was somewhat permanent, there used to be aspects of the dabbawalas that used to be based on temporary workers themselves.
After the onset of the Industrial Revolution and India's independence, a significant portion of the country's working population continued to engage in agriculture, handicrafts, and trade. With the industrialization-led development, many low-skilled workers migrated and worked on labor-intensive, on-demand gigs, relying on minimum hourly wages. And this was the emergence of informal employment in the Indian economy.
మేము పని చేసేటప్పుడు వర్కర్స్ ఎట్లా తీసుకుంటాం అంటే వాళ్ళు ఉండే విలేజెస్కి వెళ్తాం, వాళ్ళు చేసేటోళ్ళు ఉంటారు, వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడి ఇంత జీతం ఇస్తాం. వాళ్ళు కొంతమంది ఇంటి దగ్గర ఉంటారు కదా, వాళ్ళ ఫ్రెండ్స్ని అట్లా తీసుకొస్తారు, అట్లా ఫ్యామిలీగా తీసుకొచ్చి జాయిన్ చేసుకుంటాం. డైలీ 8 hours డ్యూటీ ఉంటుంది వాళ్ళకి.
हाँ, जो हमारा इधर पीएफ है, इंश्योरेंस है, हमारा पूरा टोटल जो भी सरकारी कागजात होते हैं वो पूरा हमारा कंपनी ने बना के दिया. अगर हमारा कोई एक्सीडेंट होता है तो वो पूरा हमें कंपनी खर्चा करके देगा.
पहले पंजाब में काम करते थे, फिर अभी चेन्नई, हैदराबाद, पूना, महाराष्ट्र और कोलकाता, बेंगलोर, हर एक जगह में जाते हैं.
The emergence of app-based platforms in early 2010 brought with it exciting possibilities for consumers. It provided opportunities for instantaneous demand fulfillment of a range of services from food and grocery delivery, home services, cab hailing, and more at scale. It has also created opportunities in the Indian labor market once again at scale. For some, it may be the opportunity to make some money on the side, while to others, it could provide them careers. Today, the gig economy led by app-based platforms plays a crucial role in the larger economic puzzle.
So fundamentally, if you think about it, these platforms have existed for ages, right? Newspaper was a platform through which gig workers would source demand. Earlier, you used to have yellow papers or yellow books where these gig workers or people who would work informally would share their advertisements and then customers would be able to book them. And then there's been an evolution, right? Just Style started off as a place where you could go and pretty much book anything and everything, which was pretty much a listing kind of a platform. And then from listings, there has been an evolution to full stacking. And multiple companies have come in where they have tried to create verticals or they've tried to create, let's say, horizontals, where both the consumer side as well as the partner side problems have been solved. You had a need, but you didn't know who will serve them. And there was supply where you had the capability of serving the demand, but you didn't know where the demand was sitting. Now, with high level of visibility that gets created through internet, you are able to marry the demand side with the supply side. And that led to these platform-based economies coming into existence.
टमाटर फ्रेश है ना?
एकदम फ्रेश.
1 किलो कर देना.
जी. अब कंटिन्यू टू पेमेंट.
A new platform like Zepto can fundamentally change people's behaviors if we offer a value proposition that's game-changing. So today, you've gone from grocery buying, which is a chore that you had to do multiple times a week, to all of a sudden, it's not just an incrementally better experience, it's a different planet altogether. You've gone from going through that chore every couple of days to 10-minute delivery experience where freshness is great, pricing is great, and the bag with groceries is in your hand in 10 minutes at home. That, to us, is just the future staring at you in your face and an experience that gets addictive the second you try it. And so I think changing people's behavior is not a game of incremental optimization. It's a game of massive, large step movements in consumer experience and consumer behavior.
I think the vision of delivering unparalleled convenience to the urban consumers is what Swiggy's vision is. It could be in the form of, as I said, groceries, picking up and dropping orders, as well as discovering new artists and seamlessly getting things from them. So that has been the evolution from 3 or 4 people going door to door, signing up restaurants and convincing delivery partners to work for them, to where we are today. So that has been a significant evolution.
How do app-based platforms provide this sort of conveniences at scale? One reason is that app-based aggregators are different from traditional aggregators, not only in their value propositions, but also in their business models. For example, Uber and Ola's business models are different from traditional cab services such as Meru or Avis. Unlike traditional aggregators, who spend heavily on talent acquisition, training, asset ownership, and work distribution, app-based platforms leverage technology to streamline these operations and achieve faster scalability across the country. And VCs have also played an important role in scaling these businesses very fast.
Like you have the customers, you have the restaurant partners, and then you have the delivery partners, right? So you need all three of these to work together to form that growth flywheel, right? It's not like you just need a service professional and a customer and you match the two, right? Here you need all three to work in this growth flywheel.
What does platform enable? Why does platform enable this growth? Is one, definitely because you have aggregation of demand. Second, there is better chances of providing financial inclusion and support. Third, you have better enablement of upskilling opportunities which are there, and therefore platform as a whole is what is going to lead the rise in the gig worker population in the Indian economy. Tech, as we all know, is a skill enabler, right? So tech will play a very big role, and it will obviously help in aggregation of demand and scaling.
If you look at, there is a traditional way the businesses have been built. Those traditional ways where you created revenue, that revenue had a certain level of profit, and then you plowed the profit back into creating more capabilities for the company. That's the way a lot of industries have been created, right? Start small scale, create profits, and then over a period of time, it might take you 15, 20, 25 years to create a large, sizable business. Let's say capital being available, what people have also been able to do is shortchange that journey of 20 to 25 years, where your capability creation can be a lot more front-loaded. Let's say if you imagine urban company getting created in a traditional manner, then what's going to happen is you will do 100 services, plow that back into creating your tech and product, which might not be a very substantial amount. And then you will have a journey through which you will get to where you want to get to. With capital being available, what also ends up happening is you front load a lot of that capability creation.
One thing is platforms are entering backed by huge amounts of venture capital that is being invested in them. The idea here is not about making profits instantly. The idea is about capturing the market and expanding your share of the market, changing consumer behaviors, because all of us have experienced that change through the use of different kinds of platforms, right? We're not willing to go out on the main roads and find a form of transportation. We expect the cab to be right at our doorstep, right? We expect food to come to us quickly, to the point now that we are being asked to change our expectations and get groceries and food delivery within like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, etc. So this time that we notice where currently platforms are not making very high profits, this is not their period about making profits. This is their period for market expansion, for changing consumer tastes and behaviors. And they have venture capital funneling funds into them precisely to get this. Once they have expanded this market share, right, then we are going to see essentially a few companies that have almost monopoly-like stake on the market.
In their pursuit of profitability, Indian platforms are now innovating and introducing additional services. The app-based platforms have indeed created new distribution channels for traditional service providers, such as restaurants, but increasing commissions have now been creating tensions between the two stakeholders.
I think it's just a secular trend. Convenience is what customers are seeking.
These innovations in turn have spawned other complementary innovations, such as cloud kitchens, have emerged to support the growth of these platforms.
What started off as a logistics platform has turned into more like a convenience platform. So what you have on Swiggy today is not just food delivery, but you also have grocery delivery. You also have pick up and drop, which is Genie, our grocery deliveries Instamart. Genie, which is our pick up and drop. Then we also have a new product called Minis, where we are connecting small and medium businesses, mom and pop artisanal stores with consumers where they can buy, right?
Swiggy or whatever the Zomato, we are expecting the more business from them, and then best food deliveries to the customer. Proper packing, proper timely, proper even cross-check the order. So that was our expectation from them, and then we did it, sir. Because if you see the growth from the last 3 years, so it was almost double to the day. Before that, we receive around 50 to 60 orders in a day. Now we are getting around 300 to 400.
What we realized was that a lot of our customers had tried Fasos but never had seen our store. So way back, I'm talking about 2013, 2014, when digital ordering was still nothing. Amazon had not entered India. So that was the time. And then we realized that at that moment also, almost 70% of our customers had never seen a Fasos store. And that was what we call our first light bulb moment. That if people are not seeing our stores, then what are we opening these stores for? Because typically to open a high street retail store, it took us a lot of time because you wanted to be on a particular street where the footfalls were high. Then you had to negotiate with the landlords. Some people would say that, okay, you cannot cook non-veg in my property, and all of those things. India is a supply constrained market in that sense. We don't have great retail development which has happened. You don't have great number of malls, or even on the high street. If you want to be on a particular location, you know that in a particular city there will be very, very limited real estate which would be available, and everybody would be fighting for that. And that would kind of spike up the rentals. And in a restaurant space, typically in India, those rentals used to take 15 to 20% of your top line number. And it was hurting us as well. So that was the first light bulb moment when we realized that, okay, these rentals hurt us. People have not seen our stores. This kind of combined to push us to open the first delivery-only kitchen. And that happened way back in 2015. We did this experiment, or let's say pilot, in a couple of locations, one in Ahmedabad, one in Bangalore. And what we realized that even though start was slightly slow, because now you were not on high street and people were not walking in. But once the business picked up in a couple of months, your economics were much, much better. And this was something which was a utopian moment for us. Oh, wow, that we have kind of kind of found something new, and let's double down on that. And that's when the journey of, let's say, cloud kitchen, dark kitchen, ghost kitchen, at that time, multiple words were being used because we're the first one.
But then, is our app-based platform's magic bullet as it is made out to be? Is this the high tide that lifts all boats? For one, are these platforms creating value for themselves and their investors?
Now, if I think about improving profitability, then one needs to look at how can I increase the revenues, how can I reduce the costs. Now, increasing revenues means I need customers to place larger order sizes. And that has its own challenges in terms of how do you get customers to place larger orders. Because we're thinking about it from per order, not just in terms of multiple orders that the same customer places, right? And the other is in terms of the cost. And that's associated with each order. Even if, let's say, I'm profitable on a per order basis, or more generally speaking, per service instance. Now, there's a cost that these firms incur in terms of, one, actually getting customers, right? So there's the marketing that you do, there's a staff that you have in order to build your platform, maintain your assets, your technology, and what have you. And now the point is, if I'm spending much more money to acquire a customer compared to the value that I get from serving each customer over the lifetime that they use my services, it needs to be sufficiently high to cover these costs and leave something for me as a profit. And that's probably where things are broken. I mean, we keep talking about a large market of cell phone penetration, smartphone penetration, internet penetration of the order of a few 100 million people in the country. But it's a very, very, very small fraction of that population which can actually afford to use these services. And so in that sense, your total profitable market size, so to speak of, is a very small number. And therefore now, no matter how much money you start spending in your marketing campaigns, beyond a point, you're not going to be able to get more customers.
Are these platforms creating value for the gig workers? Are gig workers really benefiting from playing their part in the gig economy? Are they earning more than they would have if they were doing something else?
We are onboarding more drivers on the Uber platform than we have ever done before. The only reason that will happen is if the current drivers are earning sustainable earnings, and that's spreading the word of mouth and more drivers are joining the platform.
Roti kapda makan, but there's also this izzat is something which is very important in the life of delivery partner.
रेटिंग के नाम पे ड्राइवर को, डिलीवरी बॉय को इतना टॉर्चर कर रहे कस्टमर्स.
The onus should probably be on the entrepreneur to come up with a feasible business model that essentially scales, that also gives the ability for ethical behavior or ethical treatment of the participants or the laborers or the other participants in the platform-based gig economy itself.
But as a worker who experiences this, it is tyrannical, it is opaque, it is, completely lacking in clarity. Platforms are not going to advocate for regulation. But unless we have state intervention come in for regulating platform work, you are not going to be able to see better working conditions in the gig economy. Right now, a lot of the power lies within the hands of platforms themselves.